The Story of East Buyo and Goguryeo, Part 1. Founders from 108 BC to 37 BC. In 108 BC, the iron spear of Han China's Emperor Wu struck the western lands of Josan. Wiman Joseon collapsed under internal strife, and the shockwaves reached as far as North Buyo. At that time, a man named Goguryeo Han, said to be a descendant of Dangun-go-yul-ga, rose up. With a sharp spear, he repelled the Han forces, and the people called him a man of heaven. Dangun-hae-buru of North Buyo recognized the truth in the face of strength.
Now, heaven's will is with him.
Hae-buru ceded the position of Dangun-tungri, the divine ruler of North Buyo, to Goguryeo Han, and humbly stepped down to become a vassal lord of East Buyo. On that day, the leadership of the three Josan shifted hands. As the sun set over the palace of East Buyo, Hae-buru, who had become king of East Buyo, a vassal state of North Buyo, gazed up at the sky alone.
I gave up the seat of Tungri and came here to Ep.1. And yet, I have not even a single child to carry on my lineage.
The eyes of the aging king were filled with worry. He offered a ritual to the heavens, earnestly praying for a child who would carry on the destiny of Buyo. A few years later, Hae-buru rode his horse toward Gonyun, the Gon abyss. As he approached the water's edge, his horse suddenly stopped and began to shed tears. Drawn by a strange energy, the king dismounted and looked around. There stood a large rock. "Move that rock," he commanded. As the soldiers pushed the rock aside, a flash of gold shimmered beneath it. There lay a small child, his body glowing with a golden light, curled up like a frog. Hae-buru held his breath.
This child was sent by the heavens.
He was certain of it.
I shall name him Gumwa, the golden frog. He is my son.
From that day on, a new destiny began to take root in Buyo. Gumwa has grown into a brave young prince of Buyo, now wearing the robes and golden crown of the new king of Buyo. And Gumwa succeeded King Hae-buru as the ruler of East Buyo. On a misty morning by a clear river, King Geumwa set out on a hunting expedition with his soldiers. By the riverside, a lone fisherman kept losing his nets. Muttering to himself, he said,
"This thing, it's neither fish nor bird."
Curious, King Geumwa approached and watched. Something large and strange writhed beneath the water. Ordinary nets were torn apart again and again, until the king finally ordered an iron net to be cast. When the iron mesh was pulled from the water, there was a person inside with soaked hair, snow-white skin, and a beautiful woman with lips oddly long, nearly 3 feet in length. The king was stunned, yet he could not look away. Watching the woman weep silently, unable to speak, Gumwa made a firm decision.
Cut those lips.
Her lips were cut 3 times, and at last, she began to speak.
My name is Yuwa, Lady Willow. I am the consort of Buyo. All of this was a punishment from the heavens.
As Yuwa began to tell her story, it was as if a new destiny emerged from within the mist.
Thus unfolds the tale of Lady Willow in the days around 60 BC. Under the midsummer sun, the Chong River flowed crystal clear. Deep within its waters lay a pond called Ungshim, where 3 maidens were cooling themselves from the heat. They were the 3 daughters of Habek, the river god who ruled the waters. Yuhwa, Lady Willow, Hwan-guk, Lady Silvergrass, and Yuhwa, Lady Reed. At that moment, a chariot drawn by 5 dragons descended from the heavens. Seated within it was Buyo, a vassal lord of Okjo, and descendant of Hae-mosu, the heavenly emperor of North Buyo. he gasped at the beauty of the three maidens in the pond. With a golden whip, Buyo conjured a magical spell, and in an instant a bronze palace rose from the earth. He invited the three sisters into it and hosted a grand feast filled with wine and dance. As the cups passed and songs flowed, the atmosphere grew increasingly strange. The doors locked, and the outside world faded away. In the end, Buyo tried to take the three sisters as his own, but only Lady Willow, Yuwa, remained. The two were eventually married. When Hwan-guk heard the news, he trembled with fury. Though Buyo was a descendant of the heavenly emperor, he had taken his daughter without a proper marriage. Hwan-guk sent an envoy to rebuke Buyo, condemning his dishonorable actions. Ashamed, Buyo remained silent. He no longer entered Yuhwa's chamber and resolved to send her back. But Yuhwa could not look away.
I cannot bear to leave you.
And so she chose to return to her father's land, together with Buyo. Hwan-guk then tested Buyo with magic.
If you are truly of heavenly blood, then face me.
The two men fought 3 times in the water, each time transforming into beasts, first tigers, then dragons, and at last 3-legged crows. But each time, victory went to Buyo. Defeated at last, Hwan-guk acknowledged him.
You are indeed a true descendant of the heavens.
He held a feast and seated the two together. Thus, the god of the waters and the son-in-law of the heavens were finally bound by fate. On the night the feast ended, Buyo was drunk. Beside him was Yuhwa. The two were placed into a small leather pouch and loaded onto the 5-dragon charioto to ascend toward the heavens. But it was all part of Hwan-guk's scheme.
Let us see if he truly accepts you. I shall watch until the end.
Just before the dragon chariot could exit the waters of Hwan-guk's palace, it came to a halt. Buyo, waking from his drunken stupor, was startled. He pulled out Yuhwa's golden hairpin and used its tip to tear a small gap in the pouch. Slipping through alone, he rose to the heavens, leaving Yuhwa behind. Alone, Yuhwa remained. Hwan-guk's rage blazed like fire.
How dare you disgrace our bloodline?
He seized her lips and stretched them until they grew nearly a yard long, twisted and unnatural. And so Yuhwa was cast away into a deep water on the southern slopes of Mount Taebaek, a place called Ubo River. The surface of the water lay still, but in her eyes shimmered a darkness deeper than the sky.
King Geumwa was deeply moved by Yuhwa's strange tale and her beauty. Out of sympathy and fascination, he gave her residence in a separate palace outside the main court. Strangely, within that secluded palace, sunlight shone upon Yuhwa every single day without fail. Some time later, Yuhwa gave birth to a large egg, weighing 1.8 kilograms, from her left side. The king was astonished and frightened.
This is not the work of man.
In fear, Gumwa seized the egg and threw it into a pigsty. But instead of destroying it, the pigs embraced the egg and protected it. This time, the king threw the egg onto the roadside, hoping that oxen and horses would trample it. But the animals carefully stepped around the egg. Finally, the king cast it into an open field, wishing for birds to peck it apart. Yet even the birds shielded the egg with their wings and kept it warm. Furious, Gumwa struck the egg with an axe. But it would not break. In the end, the king returned the egg to Yuwa. Yuwa gently wrapped the egg in warm cloth with great care. Before long, a baby boy emerged from the egg. By the time he was 7 years old, he had crafted a bow and arrows on his own, and with each shot, he never missed his mark. Thus he was named Chumo, a word in the Buyo language, meaning one who shoots well with a bow. This is the end of the story of East Buyo and Goguryeo Part 1, founders from 108 BC to 37 BC. To be continued in Part 2.